episode 34.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Into the 99, where we have 99 cards, because Commander's number 1. I'm one of your hosts, Sherman.
I'm Hope.
I'm Daniel.
And I'm Brian.
And today, we are going to talk about Chulane.
We're telling a story, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to tell a story. Each of us have a different story, because each of us are going to talk about the decks that we have built for Chulane.
I think all of this is probably the only one of, if not the only commander that we all have.
The same of, yeah. Well, Chulane is a really, really powerful commander overall.
Yeah,
a lot of people really like him. He's in Bant colors, which is very accessible. It ramps well. It's just a good color for a lot of people. Getting into Magic, it's, I think, the best starter tricolor.
I have to agree. Just because, like, Chulane when it's out, you know, it's like, it ramps you, you're playing creatures, which is something that a lot of new players like to, you know, get into. Like, there's not
creatures
too much.
Are fun.
Yeah.
And creatures are, like, approachable and understandable. Like, this is a guy, and he hits you in the face.
Yeah, and the trainer is easy to remember.
You have a lot more variety when it comes to creatures than you do with, say, the spells that you want to throw in there.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, and he's a really good introduction to understanding the stack a little bit better. We'll go into his exact details, but the whole point is that he is a cast trigger, so he happens before anything actually enters, and even if your spell is countered, it will still go off. It's a really, really interesting way to be able to use the stack. So if I cast something, I still have a chance to draw my counterspell before somebody counters.
Yeah, so to that end, just what Chulane does also. So Chulane Teller of Tales is for 2, a green, a white, and a blue, and he has Vigilance, and he is, whenever you cast a creature spell, draw a card, and then you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield, and his secondary ability, is for 3 and a tap, return target creature you control to its owner's hand, and he's a 2/4 himself, which is nice. The 4 toughness is nice.
Yeah.
And it gives him a little bit of protection.
He's at what I think is the best casting cost for Bant. Anything lower is too easy to get out in any color that like includes a green. But this is a deck that can hit land tax very early. This can hit any Llanowars because you're not punished for running those small dorks. They function as your built-in draw engine. He functions as built-in ramp. He's just really, really powerful. I think that if you had put him up in CMC, he wouldn't have been as fun. Yeah. And if you had put him lower, he would be too strong. I think out of all of the commanders, or out of the Brawl commanders, I should say, he's probably the most consistent one that was there. Corvold went up to the competitive tier because he's so easy to ETB and draw. He's got his own trigger. Alila's really, really fun for a lot of people looking for more of a combat thing, artifact enchantment. And then Sir Gwen was just I want to get into an equipment. He's a pure steel paladin. That's a great deck as well, but I think that Chulane just functions the best.
Chulane's very balanced, I think.
It's great because, like, this is another reason why Chulane's great for beginners. It's because you, like, the problem we have with in EDH, it's like with the Soul Ring. Great for early game, late game, not so much. Okay? With Chulane out, if you have a Llanowar or Elves, early game, fantastic wrap.
Awesome.
Late game, you can still cast Llanowar War Elves.
Get the draw that you want.
Get the draw and hopefully get a land drop at the same time. So it's still useful late game.
Yeah, I actually got rid of the Soul Ring. This is the only deck that I don't have a Soul Ring in it.
Well, it just ramps extremely hard.
Yeah.
It's just deeply unnecessary.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. If Llanowar Elves, imagine they printed another Llanowar Elves that was, when you cast this, draw a card and then put a land down, that would be just a staple card. Chulane adds a really, really unique ability onto creature casting, and he functions with everything you need. Like, decks need draw and ramp to win, and he provides everything in one.
Yep.
He is one of the cards. It's really easy to make a deck and then forget about the commander or not play it. Some people, it's a little too expensive to get out, or
a lot of people have their commander just for the colors.
Yeah, I want to get into something else, but Chulane, he's functional to the deck, but he's also super, super important in it because he turns the whole deck on, no matter what route you build him. He starts the engine for you for sure.
The best thing I think Chulane has for the ability is just the fact that you can, after you do the cast of a creature, you can, you get a draw, and we all say draw is king. But the fact is, you can get rid of land cards from your hand that are basically kind of like dead cards or whatever. It's one of those feelings where you draw a card from your top deck, and there's a land. It's like, oh, I was hoping for a spell, right? Chulane's just like, okay, no problem. Just put it down.
Yep.
Not a big deal. And I think that's one of the reasons why it's so fantastic.
Land is not useful in your hand.
Well, yeah.
Exactly.
But
You can't tap your hand.
Well, I think that when I play my Chulane deck, I think the one thing that is, I take forever on my turns, and that's, I think, the leading reason to why I always die.
Well, but there can be a lot of triggers to keep track of, and it's just kind of what
Chulane, that's what I was going to say, is exactly that. He really does give you a good introduction to understanding your triggers, memorizing what's going on. There's so many different ways to build them. I build everything
while you play it.
I build everything as a enter the battlefield effect. It's like enter the battlefield is one of my favorite mechanics of all time. It is definitely in my top 3. I absolutely love it. And yeah, he just has so many things going on. He's got cast triggers. He has draw triggers. If you have like an Alhamerit's Archive out, anything like that, he's doubling up your draw, putting lands down. What's
Alhamerit's Archive?
If you would draw a card except for your first card, draw 2 instead. Nice. And if you would gain life if you would get...
If you gain life, you gain twice as much life.
Yeah.
And it's an artifact for 5 mana.
Nice.
Yeah, it's Alhamerit's Archive is a great card.
Very cool.
Really, really nice card.
But so anything, like if you're, let's say a Mind Unbound, you can get punished pretty badly with a Mind Unbound if it gets up there in counters, because you can be drawing pretty easily 5 cards a turn. And if you draw 5 cards a turn and 3 of them are lands, you're hooped. You're going to have to discard a bunch. Sure, it's deck thinning, but with Chulane, you just get an engine to drop them down and stuff. He's just acting like an exploration for you when you cast creatures.
It is helping a lot. Well, and even you could have exploration and play that. You could have something like a burgeoning on the field to dump in more lands if you needed to. It's in the right colors for that.
Chulane is great for ramp. That is some of the decks. There's just a few commanders, Chulane, Golos, Windgrace, just to name a few, that are generally let's see if I can play all my lands commanders. Yeah. And yeah, Chulane really, really does a good job of it. And as we said, we all have a Chulane deck. They're all very, very different Chulane decks with different themes. So we're just kind of going to talk about the different ones we have and kind of go into it. So Sherman, tell us a little bit about the one that you've created. What went into your Chulane deck and what was your goal for building it?
Okay, so my Chulane, basically, it's almost like a Lands Matters kind of deck, but not a Lands Matter deck. Okay, so I only really have 2 cards I really care about for landfall. So, but the key strategy for my deck is just that I have a bunch of creatures where I untap land. Okay, so I want to bring these creatures out. I want to untap my lands, but I also have things like a Maze of Ith.
Yep.
So it's okay, it's defensive, okay? I don't have Propaganda or Ghostly Prison in here. Everyone's, has them in for Pillow Fort. This is my own version of a Pillow Fort.
That's actually really, sorry to interrupt you, that's a really, really interesting way to use a Maze of Ith, because exactly, if you can sit there and Maze of Ith 4 different creatures a turn, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I really don't care.
Sorry. Maze of Ith, for everyone who doesn't know, Sherman.
Oh, yeah, it's a land, okay? Does not tap for mana. All it does is that you can tap it and target attacking creature untaps and is removed from combat, basically.
Hilarious. And then if you're constantly untapping your lands.
Yeah, exactly. So you take 4 creatures out of combat.
Bam, bam.
Yeah. So that's all I really do with this deck. It's just drop creatures, okay, that untap lands, which will let me drop more lands and just ramp like that, okay? And the more lands that I have, the better I do, because my deck is all about using up mana like crazy. It's mana hungry.
And how many lands do you have?
I have 39.
Which is
But keep in mind, okay, if you take away the Maze of Ith, for example, that's technically 38.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's more of yes, it's a land, but it acts like a spell.
Yeah. And then
you have the growing rights.
Yeah, I have growing rights and stuff like that, okay? So,
do you have the Spires of Uraska on it?
What?
No, I do not.
Ooh, love that one. It's basically another version of Maze of Ith. It's just one of the flip cards. So they printed all those weird flip cards. I love that whole cycle, by the way.
I thought they were cool.
Yeah, but I have like a few win conditions here, but we'll get to that in a bit here, okay? But I have a lot of silly mechanics in here, okay? Because I have so much land, and I can untap things like the Growing Rites of Ifmok, which flips, okay? I can untap that and tap it for like a lot of mana. I have things that will convert my mana to whatever mana I want, like blue and everything.
Color,
yeah,
so you can filter.
I can filter, and I have things like off the bat, Memnarch. Okay,
Love Memnarch.
but like think of
Absolutely love
it. If
them.
I'm tapping my Growing Rites for like 12 mana, and then I untap it and I tap it again for another 12, and, and like it doubles up, like really quickly, right? I want to be able to use something or convert it to something that's non-green.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So I convert it for things like Memnarch. Or I'll do something like I have Planeswalkers. I have 4 Planeswalkers. Okay, I have Jace Cunning Castaway, Teferi's Hero of Dominaria, Time Raveler, and Vivian Champion of the Wild.
Oh, I know where this is going now, yes.
Yeah, so Vivian
The
Champion of the
sub-theme.
Wild, all I care about is Flash. I don't really care about anything else. I'll take it up, take it down, don't care. Teferi, Time Raveler, and Teferi Hero of Dominaria, I can tick up and use the emblem for the Hero of Dominaria. So Time Raveler is just to stall and to have it so that people don't cast instants.
Yeah, they can only cast on their turn, right?
Yeah. Teferi Hero of Dominaria.
Can we just like recognize how intense of a passive ability that is on a 3-drop?
Yes.
Yeah,
my
Teferi's busted in
God.
every
It's so
version
busted.
of Teferi.
Okay.
Teferi Creature is a strong creature.
Yeah.
Every Teferi Planeswalker
Every
is good.
Teferi is really good.
Oath of Teferi is good.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah. Teferi's protection.
Teferi is like the unsung hero.
Yeah. So
where was Teferi on
unsung
Dominaria?
hero
Or
of Dominaria.
Zendikar, sorry.
So, Teferi Hero of Dominaria, I'll mainly plus it. If I can get the emblem off, great. I don't care about the -3. Teferi Hero of Dominaria, in all honesty, is just a decoy. I don't care about it. I just want them to focus on him, because he's such a powerful planeswalker. I don't care if he dies.
Yeah.
I just want people to attack him and not me and leave my other creatures alone. Okay, so that's all I have that for.
Thank you for that heads up.
But you know for a fact that doesn't matter with me.
But if you don't attack it and you don't get rid of it, then he gets the emblem on.
I guess when we start talking about my deck, I should throw some shade in different areas.
Once again, it's politics, and I play mind tricks, right? My main one that wins games for me most of the time.
Half shirtless Jace.
Jace Cunning Castaway. Okay? Now everyone's like, Party, how the heck does this win games for you? Well, once again...
I asked that about a lot of your decks, but here we are.
Once again, it comes down to the fact that I will play either Evolution Sage, which every time I play a land, I can proliferate. But because I have...
Which is like one of my favorite cards.
It was
so
such a
good.
fantastic card. From Warrior Spark, fantastic. Okay.
It's a staple, yeah.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Well,
But-
I mean, like, depending on what you're doing.
For any deck that runs anything counter-based, though,
So
staple.
good.
It is.
Landfall proliferation.
Especially with Ikoria coming out, it's going to be crazy.
Oh.
Like, granted, like having double flying counters makes no difference. It's not like
But if
Magic
somebody
has
can,
double
like-
jump.
But if somebody can like remove a counter from something.
True. Can you imagine if they had that ability where like if a creature was flying?
Double flying.
Yeah, it flies over top of flying.
Yeah. Or a
This
new
creature
mechanic,
has fly high.
new mechanic stomp. You know, if you can like if you do combat damage, do it to like target like
Flying creature. like,
non-flying
knock-
creature.
Oh, knock it.
Yeah.
I was gonna say flying and knock it to the ground.
That'd be cool too.
Or like the opposite. Like there was like a burrow.
Oh yeah, bro. Like the mountain walk card.
Yeah,
or-
like that. Like
Starting
like
to sound a
the
lot
mole.
like Pokemon here.
All I'm saying is we've got like mole tribal.
dig.
Could you imagine?
But with all this mana I have, one of my favorite cards here is called Clock Spinning. Okay, Clock Spinning is a blue mana instant card. Okay, with buyback 3. Okay, so for 4 mana, I can cast this and bring it back to my hand.
Buyback
And
is so broken.
basically, what it says is that choose a counter on target permanent or suspended card. remove that counter from that permanent or card, or put another of those counters on it.
Love it.
So what I did was clock spin, and this is how I can use Teferi, and people know that Teferi can't be a threat. I can emblem if I want, but I prefer to put it on Jace because I'll just take up Jace, create a duplicate of Jace, and then do that again and again and again. I've had games where I've had 7 of these. I've had 12 of these. It's silly, right? And it's just fun.
Yeah.
So, but that's one of the win conditions that I have there. I have the obvious things like Blue Sun Zenith, with Labman.
The huge mana dumps,
Yeah. That stuff, whoop-de-doo, don't care,
But I mean, it's good to have the option.
Yeah.
Like just because something's like standard to some end doesn't mean it's not.
It's
worth
like a common thing that we see.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a big deal. Like I know it works. I put it in.
Tried and true.
And like sometimes I'll just use it just to dig further for mine, right? So it's not a big deal.
And sometimes you just need to end the game because it's just time.
Yeah. So and then I have things like Karn's Bastion to help proliferate as well.
I love that land also. What a great land.
I have Shalai, Voice of Plenty.
Oh, love her.
So it's Shalai is a 3 and a white for a legendary creature angel. It's 3/4 flying. You planeswalkers you control and other creatures you control have hexproof.
And for 4, what an awesome angel.
It's a great card.
Her
Okay,
mana dump.
Yeah, and it's a 4 green. Put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. So once again, huge mana dump.
Yeah.
Okay, I do not have Seymour Muse in this deck because
Brian buys them all.
In all honesty, yes, that is. I only have one Seymour Muse.
Yeah, because he buys them out of every single store and he gets her before you.
Yeah. So instead, I went for a budget substitution. Okay?
I honestly think it's a better one. It's a great card, but people don't run Enchantment Destruction.
Yeah. So, and this is Quest for Renewal. Quest for Renewal is a 1 green enchantment. Whenever a creature you control becomes tapped, you may put a quest counter on Quest for Renewal. As long as there are 4 or more quest counters on Quest for Renewal, untap all creatures you control during each other player's untapped step. Okay? Since I have
Brian's ready to invest, I saw it.
Yeah. Since I already have a bunch of creatures that are tapping to untap lands, it basically kind of acts like that. And then at the same time, if I have things like my Maze of Ith out, I can buffer that again. You know, where like people attack me, I say no. People attack me again, I say no. And then I can proliferate constantly because of that as well.
Yeah.
Well, you can also politics with it too and save someone else.
Yeah.
It gives you a lot of options. And it's a 2-drop, which is wild.
Which is really great. It's a common too. It's like 50 cents to $1.
Yeah,
actually, it's uncommon. Sorry, my bad.
Great card though. I really, really like it.
Oh yeah.
It is also in mine.
Well, and like you said, like I've seen you go off with that. Like I said, I've only played against your Chulane deck, I think once or twice.
Yeah.
But I saw you go off with the Quest for Renewal, and I'm like, well, this is just how we're doing things now. It was nearly impossible to hate you.
Yeah, it's silly, and then
I was trying hard.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like people are like, okay, like if I get rid of your Maze of Ith, no big deal. Okay, sure, I don't mind, because I'll have something called Sandworm Convergence, which is a 6 green enchantment. Once again, creatures with flying can't attack you or planeswalkers you control, and then
which is like a personal attack on me, just so you know.
Yeah, I know. But at the same time, at the beginning of my end step, I create a 5/5 worm creature token, but I combine this with something called Island Sanctuary. Okay, this is an old card. It's a white enchantment, 1 and a white, and I can skip my draw. I skip my draw phase basically. Okay, until the beginning of my next turn, only creature with flying or island walk can attack me. Okay, so. I can only use this ability during my draw phase, yada yada yada, and I can only do this once per turn. With Chulane, I don't care, because it's already letting me bounce a creature, throw it back down, I draw, and I can place a land. So my card draw is already there. I don't care if I skip my draw.
Yeah, that's not an issue.
So if I have both of these out, all you can do is attack me with something with Island Walk. once again, I don't care.
No, but nobody plays Island Walk.
Yeah, well, they barely do.
You so rarely see walk.
Yeah, you rarely see land walks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, like, of all these, I have basically, like, I play Cyclonic Rift. Let's face it, guys. You guys know me.
I don't like it, but that doesn't mean it's not a strong card.
Yeah, but that is one of my board wipes.
Yeah.
My second board wipe is the one that I use more often, and that is Thing in the Ice.
A very, very cool
I
one, yeah.
know.
Okay, so Thing in the Ice, for those who don't know, 1 in a blue, it's a creature horror defender, 0/4. Thing in the Ice enters the battlefield with 4 ice counters on it. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, remove an ice counter from Thing in the Ice. Then if it has no counters on it, it transforms. Okay?
I absolutely hate this card.
I like this card.
My hatred comes from when we played competitive Modern, and he ran 4 of them.
Yeah, I'm still fine with that.
Hated it.
So, and basically when it transforms, okay, it's a 7/8, and when this creature transforms into Awakened Horror, return all non-horror creatures to their owner's hand. So it basically board wipes.
Yeah.
Okay, returns all my creatures, which I don't care, because I'll cast them again.
Yeah, you're still running it with Chulane.
Yeah, and I can get it for 8 damage. But what I do here is I'll cast Thing in the Ice. Okay? Let's say I have Clock Spin in my hand. I'll cast Clock Spin with the buyback. I'll remove 1 ice counter from it, and it's an instant, so it'll remove the second one. So I have to do that one more time, and then I flip it.
Yeah, I know. I've seen you do it.
Yeah. So, fun times.
I know. Look at me in my face. I know.
Yeah. And the best is...
It hurts my feelings. What?
Nothing.
You really got to slow that word down there, Sherman.
I'm just dying.
Clock spin.
Clock Spin.
Oh.
and Awaken Horror.
Horror.
You said both pretty
I
quick.
could say that word if I tried.
Awakened horror?
Yeah.
Okay, so, but that's what I do for those, and then, like, to speed up the process, sometimes this is one of my favorite cards ever. This is the last card I'm going to talk about, and this is White Mane Lion.
Oh, so many people talk all the time about how this is not a useful card. This is so good. This card is the GOAT in a lot of decks that run this. This in Rune especially as well. So good. White Mane Lion is like an MVP card in Bant colors.
Yes.
Yeah. So White Mane Lion, for those who don't know, it's a 1 in a white. Okay, creature cat, 2/2. It has Flash. When White Mane Lion enters the battlefield, return a creature you control to its owner's hand. I target White Mane Lion itself. So I'll flash it in, I'll get the draw, I can put the land down or whatever, and then I'll return White Mane Lion targeting itself.
Yep.
And I keep on doing this.
Yeah, using him as a mana sink is awesome.
Yeah.
A ramping mana sink, even better.
Yeah. So, and that's, like, it's just one of the things that I do to, like...
Especially if you can at least keep, like, putting out land. And you're just like, I tapped those lands that I just put out. And I play him again. I draw another card.
And that's all I do with it. I just keep on doing that. Yeah. Right? So, especially when I have the lands that have, like, return target land, you know, to...
Yeah, the bounce lands.
The bounce lands, right? Because I'll play that. I'll play White Mane Lion. Chulane will trigger. I'll play a bounce land. So I'll return 1. And then I'll play White Mane Lion again. And I'll put it back down. So now I have no downside.
In my red deck, my red Omnoth deck, I should say.
I was gonna say, I'm like, what?
I love to play just that bounce land to bounce itself. Every time I'm like, I'll play 4 lands a turn. I'm like, bounce, 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 bounce.
So, before I have one more card to talk about.
Hit it.
People look at me when I play this card and they hate me for it, but it's worth it.
I know which one.
And that's Emrakul, the Promised End.
Love it.
Okay. So that is a 13
Our
mana
Lord and
cost.
Savior, Emrakul.
Yeah, 13 legendary creature
Call me Emrakul.
Eldrazi. Okay. The Promised End costs 1 less to cast for each card type among cards in my graveyard, so
Which
it can
is like
be less.
my favorite thing.
Yeah.
I love that.
Just because it has graveyard?
I just think it's so dope.
It's great, because like, it's great that
You
can
should
lower the
learn what
cost.
Tarmogoyf does.
What is Tarmogoyf?
That.
Yeah,
basically.
but for 2 mana, and it becomes like it's
Power
like,
and toughness.
What a good boy.
Yeah, it's not very good in Commander, but it's really good in every other format.
Yeah.
You crack a fetch land and then an instant, and it's It gets real big.
Baby.
Yeah, it gets big fast. But I have Emrakul in here because when you cast Emrakul, you gain control of target opponent's
Next
turn. Okay, and then they get a turn after that. But I use it to either politic. Okay. If someone says, I'm not a mean person when I take over someone's turn.
Oh, I am.
Okay. Brian, you know that for a fact.
I go
okay?
out of my way to ruin their day. I'm like, attack Emrakul.
Yeah. I'll only do that if the person's like, if it's like arch enemy. But normally, I will politic. I'm like, yo, like, Daniel, I gotta take your turn. I take over Daniel's turn. I use his stuff to take down somebody as best as I can, but I leave his stuff intact.
That's fair.
Okay. And then I'm like, okay, Daniel, now it's your turn. And then he can do the same thing.
I don't play it that way. Whenever I do it, I always put in...
you don't play it
I
that
put
way.
in things like Stranglehold and Ugin's Nexus, so they just don't get their extra turn after you cast the Emrakul. That's how it's done. Then I tap everything all the time. Discard their best cards.
Oh yeah, I love just tapping everything. I think it's so fun.
Or attacking their creatures into yours.
One of my
that's
friends,
exactly what I
one of my friends plays Yannette deck, the one that's the top
have
deck
friends.
matters, where if it's Xavier.
Oh.
So
yeah.
So he does a top deck manipulation. If it's an odd CMC, he can cast it. He likes to cast this all the time. So he cast it, took control of my turn, end step, bounced. He had earlier in the turn before he cast this, he bounced, what was it, the Animar to my hand. It was in hand. Of course, I'm going to put it there so I can play it for cheaper. Then he played Emrakul, took my turn, and discarded it.
Oh!
My friend Matt did that to me too. With
So
my
Animar
commander.
just sat in the graveyard. I've got the Titans in the Animar deck, so at least it reset eventually, but it just sat there for so long, and I was just shaking my head the whole time.
That's funny. That's some next level
Yeah.
quality gameplay.
Oh, no, I do remember now. No, he also discarded Kozilek and then shuffled the Animar into the deck. He discarded it, then had it shuffle back in, then gave me my turn. So the Animar was in my deck.
Somewhere.
Xavier, you're a monster.
That's hilarious.
That's hilarious, but
I
that's
can't wait to see him come play with us again.
Yeah.
He's a funny boy.
Yeah. So, like, I have a few other interactions, but, like, all my decks are very, very interactive. But, you know, let's move on to someone else's deck, or else we'll be stuck on mine forever.
We'll go with Brian's here.
So, Brian, tell us about your Chulane deck.
So I built half of this, and then I had it just sit in my desk because everyone had one.
Yeah.
And then I got angry at Daniel's ramp deck.
The Ruin His Night deck.
Yep. So I said, screw it. And I threw cards together. I got some cards for it. But so mine, I run 33 lands. That's one big difference, is that I have 6 lands less than
Did mine.
Sherman's.
Second big difference is it built in a blind band rage.
Yeah. I think I have more creatures than you as well.
Yeah, you have 38 creatures.
Yeah. And so for me, my I didn't notice if you had Destiny Spinner in your deck or not.
Nope.
So if you can go down this Destiny Spinner there.
That is a great card.
Yeah. So Destiny Spinner, it costs 2, but it protects my creatures and my enchantments. It's in creatures and enchantments cannot be countered. And I saw this when we played with Prime Speaker Florian. He had that. It was actually one of the first cards that came out. And I was like, I must have several of those. Because most of my decks are all enchantments, and I play a lot of green.
Brian,
So this
Brian loves
just
enchantments.
This just goes in everything. My main win conditions for my deck is that I have Critterhoof Behemoth. I have, what's it called?
The End Rays.
No, not the End Rays. The other guy that you pay. Essentially, you bring him out. He costs 3. And then I'm able to use his ability to make everyone's life equal to the amount of creatures that they have.
Oh, Shaman of the Forgotten Ways.
Yes, Shaman of the Forgotten Ways, which is one way that I won actually my first game against Daniel playing Chulane versus Chulane.
Yeah, he shamaned me.
Yep,
So,
and then I swung out and I was able to kill him.
So let me read Shaman of Forgotten Ways, because it's not a common one that we see. So it's a 2 and a green, or a human shaman. It's a 2/3. So you can tap it to add 2 mana of any combination of colors to your mana pool, and you can spend it only to cast creature spells. But it has Formidable, which is for a 9 green, and you tap it, each player's life total becomes the number of creatures he or she controls.
It's Biorhythm on a creature, so a little harder to cast than Biorhythm, but very, very strong. And Biorhythm is so strong, it's banned in Commander.
Yeah. So, and you can only activate the ability only if creatures you control have total power 8 or greater.
Which is pretty easy to do, especially considering that you have 38 creatures in the stack.
I like to kill people on the stack with it.
I can see that.
Put that ability on the stack and then have a board wipe. So the board wipe resolves first, then everyone's life becomes 0.
I didn't even think about that.
That's just me.
That's amazing.
I didn't even ever think that was a thing you could do. That's,
Well, yeah, because if you put the ability on the stack and then even if you, if someone else Cyclonic Rifts you, they have no creatures, but they Cyclonic Rift, everyone's life total becomes, that ability's still on the stack. It doesn't go away just because your creatures leave. So then everyone's life total becomes 0. It's a very fun way. There's a person in one of our play groups whose entire goal is to just draw the game out. And he does that all the time. He likes to flash out the board wipes with that, like, kill everyone, the game ends in a draw. That's his whole win conditions. Everyone draws 100 cards and loses the game at the same time. Everyone does that. The Divine Intervention with the ability to take the counters off at instant speed so that he can just, the game ends in a draw. He is a frustrating person to play with, and I think it's hilarious. His whole deck is about just, like, forcing ties.
That's
hilarious.
Yeah.
So I think another thing that I've noticed from looking at my deck list compared to yours, Sherman, is that I run a lot more sorceries.
Yeah.
I think you had
5,
2.
I run 3.
So I have Circuitous Route, Cultivate, Farseek.
Even more land ramp. Yeah. Brian ramps hard in this one.
Kadama's Reach. And then the only real one is my Idyllic Tutor, which maybe I'll go and fetch Smothering Tithe or something that will at least give me more draw or more mana to play my creatures and just continuously draw. And like I mentioned at the beginning is, Daniel did not like playing against my Chulane deck because I was taking probably about 12-minute turns.
I don't mind. I'm used to long turns.
That's the reason why I died. But yeah, so like, and then like, as well as in my instance, I have so much removal. I have Beast Within, Counterspell,
Demystify.
Yeah, Demystify. Like, I just, Dovin's Veto, I have built in so much removal of everything. The only other thing that I might even change about that is to throw in a Naturalize. So I have one more enchantment removal or something in there.
People don't run enough removal.
Nope. And that's why I was like, you know what? I have all these creatures. I have my creatures. I don't even think I have 2-3 protection in this deck.
No, you don't.
No.
You've got...
I have it in mind, but not this one you don't.
So, but I have built in ways that I should be able to at least take away people's big creatures or their win conditions. Yeah. And that's how I won against Prime Speaker. How I won against Vile Smashed.
Yep.
Is that he went to stop my win con and I countered it and won the game.
Yep.
So like I made sure
a good amount of counter and control, and like you said, spot removal. It has answers, and you got to build answers into decks. Otherwise, you just lose.
Yeah. So like I have enough creatures to enable my draw with Chulane, which enables my land drops. And then I have things that I am able to either protect myself or destroy other people's board states. And
I need to bring this up.
Someone found it.
I need to bring this up, Brian. We've talked about this many, many times. What is this card doing in here?
It's allows me to draw 7 more cards. I don't know what you're talking about.
Ginge attacks is OP.
Gene attacks is
Hey, this isn't a group hug deck. This is fine.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. See, I took it from a group hug deck to a deck that I actually want to win with.
Yeah.
In everything you do, you have to just say, maybe this is a group hug one. That's what I did with my rune during the game. I was sitting there bouncing. I was like, maybe it's my group hug rune.
It's not.
No.
I will never fall for that again.
No. Never fall for those tricks.
Actually, last night, as I was going through and I was kind of working out what I wanted to kind of do with this deck, there's one more card that I added in called Purity.
Yep. Love it.
Yeah, so I will stop all the combat damage dealt to me and I'll gain that life.
Purity is a good card.
Purity is great. So, I'm going to read Jin Cataclys real fast here for those who don't know what it is, even though we've mentioned it many, many times. I don't think we've actually
We have never explained it, but we've named it a bunch.
Yeah, so it's 8 blue, okay, is a legendary creature Praetor.
It's one of the Predators.
One of the Praetors! 5/4, flash. At the beginning of your end step, draw 7 cards. Each opponent's maximum hand size is reduced by 7.
Love it.
So, and remember...
And every turn I draw 7 cards.
Yeah.
At
So,
the end
and then
step,
you're just top
a great-
decking. Like
Yeah.
everybody else is just top decking, and it's just the absolute worst, and you're dead to me.
And he had this in his group hug deck. people.
That
As
Praetor...
a win con.
That Praetor does need to be answered pretty easily. If you don't answer it, then it gets pretty out of hand. For every full rotation, it can really, really gimp someone.
Yes.
And actually, one of the creatures that I want to get out in a game is Lightkeeper of Emeria.
Yep.
So if I can bounce
Good
her and I have all this mana and then land and just be able to cast it. So she cost 4. 3. And she has multi-kicker for 1 white. And every time that she gets multi-kicked, I gain 3 life.
Yeah.
So if I'm able to play
So if
her...
you've got all this land and you bounce her, and then you keep kicking her and just gain tons and tons and tons of... Do you have an Aether Flux in this deck?
No.
So, purity for everyone who doesn't know is any spell or ability that would deal damage to you. It is non-combat. It's got to be... They can't do it with combat, but you just gain that life instead. It prevents all non-combat damage and gains the life.
Yeah.
Protect me from Moguses.
Now, another thing, instead of the Emeria one, I meant to mention this to you the other day. Have you seen Loxodon Life Chanter?
No.
What is that one?
It's an elephant.
It is a 6 mana. When it enters, you can have your life total become the total toughness of creatures you control, which is pretty big, but you can also pay 6 with him, and in Chulane you've got the mana for this.
Yeah.
Luxodon Life Chanter gets X till end of turn, where X is your life total.
Oh.
So you can activate that in response to its ETB, and then make it like if you have 40 life, he becomes a 40/40. You gain 40 plus the toughness of every other creature you have.
That's nice.
It's a cool card for sure.
That's insane.
I like that big elephant.
Strong elephant.
Yeah,
Strong elephant.
Very
indeed.
strong, very
big
strong.
elephant
Big
for sure.
strong.
I run him in Rune for that reason,
So strong.
so that
yeah.
I can mega. And he's on theme. He's, as Dean put it, part of my Babar deck.
Does he know that Rune is a rhino?
Yeah, but there was rhinos in Babar, I'm sure.
Yeah, there was, because that was
Wasn't
the...
the king a rhino or something?
Rune's the king. Rune was the king.
Wasn't there like a guy in a suit that was?
Yeah, in the yellow suit.
yeah. In
No, because
Babar?
you have the Babar's kingdom, and then you have the Rhino's kingdom.
Episode 35, Babar lore.
I don't remember his name, okay, but you had him. All right, and like they had like they're more like a warrior. It's more like a warrior state, or soldiers and everything, right?
Like I knew I wasn't crazy. I remember seeing a rhino in a
No,
suit.
like he had a yellow suit and everything. He had a wife that was like very
I think that was Curious George.
No, not the man in the yellow hat. The rhino in the yellow suit.
So before we move on to another one of these Chulane decks,
Before we get talking more about Babar.
yeah, if I think some people would be very upset if I didn't mention this, the Thorn Mammoth should be respected.
Yeah, you gotta run the fight.
Respect the
Oh,
elephant.
man.
Every time a creature comes into play, Thorn Mammoth fights another creature.
The fight elephant.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Big
Yeah.
respect, man.
And it's a 6/6 for 5 green.
He is very fun to fight.
Yep.
Him and the Ultra Brawl Dinosaur, Ultra
Apex.
Apex,
Apex.
Megazord.
Megazord.
I love all those fight dinosaurs. They're great,
Oh, welcome to the Dino Dome.
and that's exactly what I say all the time.
That's where I got it from.
That's
from you.
I made the. I really quickly. I love all of the Ammon Kick gods, so I made each of them, and I made Ronus' entire deck based on Apex Altasaur,
That's
and the
dope.
whole idea of I'm just gonna make creatures fight, and I just call it my Snake Dome deck, and it's hilarious. I love to make Ronus fight everything. Ronus fights the world. Yes.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he does.
Hell yeah.
And he's indestructible.
Oh, hell
Oh, wait.
yeah.
I'm pretty
No,
sure
he's not.
I think he is.
I don't think he is. I think you're wrong.
I could be.
You often are.
Not going there.
So I do have God
No,
Eternal Oketra and Ronus in this deck as well.
Ronus is Death Touch indestructible.
Pretty sure you're wrong.
He also, you can make can't attack or block unless another creature has 4. Pay 2 green, another creature gets 2/0 and trample. He's
What's
a great
the
medicine.
errata on that?
No, the errata hit checks out. Ronus makes it fight. Also, if anyone has a masterpiece Ronus, please, for the love of God, sell me it. I can't find one.
Is that the only one you're missing?
Ronus and Bantu, but I haven't made the Bantu deck yet because it's Bantu.
Yeah,
Bantu's
fair.
bunk.
You could make a good Bantu deck.
Oh, I could make a good Bantu deck, but lore-wise, Bantu's bunk.
Yeah, Bantu is the bunkest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The least cool of them. Ronus, it's time to fight.
Yeah.
I need also a Masterpiece Scorpion
I
God.
like a Kendra. Oh, I want one.
I haven't even seen that one, actually.
Yeah, it's a -1/-1 Rakdos theme deck.
Oh, I know the Scorpion, but I haven't seen a Masterpiece one.
Oh, it's one of the...
It looks basically like the Scarab God. If you look at them from across the table, you won't know what it is. If I put the Scarab God out, you'd be like, that's probably
Yeah,
it.
the Scarab God, Lux God,
That's
and
part of my tricks.
like Scorpion God, they all kind of look similar, and you can't really tell unless you like look at it real closely.
Yeah.
So for the
that's-
masterpieces.
That's part of my plan.
What is your favorite card in your Chulane
Tide?
deck? If you had it, obviously Smothering Tides, but if you could,
Mystic Study.
Yeah.
Both at the same time.
Definitely it'd be Smothering Tithe or the Mystic Remora that I picked up. But I have removed, I think all you'd be happy, I removed Cyclonic Rift. It is not in this deck.
I don't think it's necessary.
No, I don't either.
boo to Cyclonic Rift in general.
Oh, you don't need it because like you're removing. You have a lot of spot removal, and you have like creatures like you're fighting and everything. It's not right. It's not like you need it. Like what the heck are you going to remove?
Do you run Winds of Abandon?
No.
Oh, that's a good overload card. Exile everyone's creatures.
Oh,
Everyone else's
How
creatures.
is that any better than a Cyclonic Rift?
it's just creatures.
Yeah, at least it's,
Oh,
just creatures.
Okay, I feel you.
At least it's not
Well, it's
everything.
different, right? It's not all permanents.
That's very true.
It is also a rough card, though, for sure.
Yeah, Exile's really hard.
And I've only played this deck maybe 3 times, so I'm still
Tuning
figuring
in.
it out.
Yeah, because you made it like what 2 weeks ago or something
Yeah,
like that.
and I still have an order that's supposed to be coming from Face to Face.
Yeah, but with the state of things,
I haven't
who
even
knows?
seen a tracking number yet, so
Yeah.
we'll see.
I feel that.
Oh, with everything going on, like things are gonna take a little bit longer.
No. Other store the next day on a Saturday got it to me.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Okay, fair enough.
That's
good
relative,
shipping.
right? You don't know what's going on and like what state they're shipping from, and
Yeah.
Winnipeg?
well, there's your problem.
The great
Look at
state
me.
of Winnipeg.
There's your first problem.
Okay.
They have nothing else going on.
Winnipeg.
They're probably happy. Though a customer, what?
Yeah. For all the
What
non-Canadians.
are these people?
It's just a Canadian thing. Winnipeg sucks. Anyways. For all our Winnipeg listeners.
Oh.
Lol JK.
Chulane deck number 3.
Oh, well, so the Chulane deck that I play is, I don't play it very often to start, let's just be real. But it's a classic, like, enter the battlefield themed deck. Like
It's all ETBs.
It's a lot of ETBs, it's a lot of bouncing, an Agent of Treachery, and ruining friendships. So, it's,
I'm kind of happy you haven't played it.
yeah, it's a lot of fun. Like,
Agent of Treachery bounce is hilarious.
yeah, Agent of Treachery is when it comes in, you get to take one of your opponent's creatures, which is super hilarious because you take their best thing or you take their commander. Taking their commander, that's just the chef's kiss. It's so good. It's very funny. But that sort of stuff, like it's fun because you don't lose it when it bounces. Mm-hmm. It's like I believe you just take control of it.
Yep.
Yeah. So
when you take Agent of Treachery back, you still get to keep.
you still keep the creature. It's not like you gain control until it leaves the battlefield. You just gain control of it. Yeah, so it's super fun, especially if you
really
can get
mean.
in.
It also has an ability that if you control 3 or more permanents that you don't own, you get to draw cards as well. It's a really good
bonus. But it's one of those things that, like, if you can get into a good place with any of the ETBs and untapping Chulane, if you get a way to untap Chulane and you just keep bouncing your enter the battlefield cards and your creatures, and like you said, like even though his cost is 3 and a tap, like you have so much mana in Chulane. Everybody has so much mana.
Well, and you just bounce it end step.
Yeah, exactly.
You save
just
it for the
keep doing
removal
it and just keep crushing it. That's essentially what this deck is. I unfortunately don't have a list up right now, but that's basically the
It'll be
whole
there.
deal.
Yeah, it's general ETB.
General ETB. Like, it comes in, it ruins your day.
I was going to say, what's your favorite card in it, Hope?
Agent of Treachery.
It is Agent of Treachery. Yeah.
So
It's so funny.
here's the question,
Hey.
Daniel. I know you can probably answer this really well because you have both decks. I know Brian, you've played around with this. I've never played around with this before, but I'll Rune and Chulane. Because if you play with ETB, then you pick one or the other. Which one would you prefer?
Rune is the better ETB commander.
Yes.
Now,
Because Chulane only gets you only get the bonus from Chulane if you cast it.
Well,
Bouncing it's not.
Chulane, you get it from cast and everything, but Rune is just A, stronger,
yeah,
and B, Rune flickers creatures. He does not return them to your hand.
that's true.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to ETB and everything, you can save any of your ETB creatures, and you will still trigger it without the mana. So let's say that you want to Virtuous Gearhulk in your deck.
Yeah.
That's going to cost you 6 mana and 3 to bounce every time. Whereas for me, I pay 3, I bounce it, and it just comes back. I just continuously get it.
It is objectively the better for ETB.
Yeah.
So that's also Rune of the Hidden Realm.
Yeah, and Chulane is better for different things. Like they're different theme decks. You can definitely build him ETB because he has that ETB ability.
Yeah.
I just really like the ability to, you cast a Wood Elves in Chulane. You also draw, you get your land, and then...
Yeah, you get 2 land from that, basically.
Yep.
You get a nice draw. It's a more... I think the Chulane is kind of like...
Chulane is a safer overall
Chulane's
commander.
like the gateway drug to Rune.
Rune does have the potential to be way more aggressive
Yeah.
overall. And I really like Rune. Like he's good for bouncing things. Like I said, Stonehorn, Dignitary, stuff like that. Making people skip their combat phases, getting my extra things. I've gone against people who are enchantment heavy. I didn't do it to Brian because I still like Brian. But I have a Bane of Progress in that deck that I can just sit and bounce in and out so that you can't get your enchantments. And ooh.
That's hilarious.
So to that, it's
Giving me
kind of
flashbacks.
in that level is having in this household, having a Rune deck that's ETB themed and having a Chulane deck that's ETB themed. It's just the level, It's like what were we talking about ranking the power levels? Like the Chulane might be a 4, whereas the Rune is a 6.
Yep.
I can see
it's
that.
just it's just about kind of the goal of the deck, and the Chulane is a little bit more mana heavy, but it also ramps hard, right? So it's it's just kind of about what you're looking for with that. So,
and I know that Chulane is more beginner friendly as opposed to Rune, because Rune is you have to time things better.
Yep.
You have to leave the mana up. Chulane, not
You have
so
to
much.
understand the end step a
and
little bit
watch
better.
your triggers at the stack. Yeah.
A lot of ETBs.
And how you're going to
They're
have
definitely different decks.
Yeah, well, and even how you're going to have all your triggers resolved. There's just a lot more technical aspects to and understanding different triggers. I think it's just because of the sheer amount of ETBs that can happen and triggers that can happen and the way that you organize them. I think it's a little bit more advanced, especially with flickering, as opposed to just bouncing them, playing, and it's one thing that's happening. So flickering can't, especially if you have 8 creatures out that all do something. It can be a lot.
Yeah, I can totally see that.
So I remember one of the first times I played Daniel's Rune deck, and it was playing captaining it. It was a lot to take in.
I do not like Rune.
Fun fact: I have never had anyone tell me, "Hey, that was a fun experience playing against Rune." Literally, even before I edit it up, no one has ever told me they've had fun playing against Rune. It is just a super annoying control ETB deck, and I've never had anyone tell me it's fun. No one's ever been like, "Hey, that was a really great deck. This was a good experience." No one's like, "This was fun." Everyone has basically just been salty.
Whereas on the opposite side of that coin, I've never had anyone tell me that Chulane wasn't fun.
Yeah.
Even
Chulane's
when
fun.
I take your commander.
Rune, that's literally, I call it my Ruin Their Day deck.
I need to play it. I need to play against it.
I think you'd think it was really interesting.
I think you would think it's fundy.
Yeah.
Well, it's me. It's like when you build your
Different types.
Galateeg deck and everyone's like, I hate it. I'm like, I need to play against it. And then, unfortunately, we had that little kid play as well, and I kind of...
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. That was funny.
That was hilarious.
There was just a 10-year-old who was playing with us, and I just was playing Galateeg in the game. And I told him, I was like, yeah, this won't be fun. And he's just like, I'm ready for it. He wasn't ready for it. Spoiler alert, he was the least ready for it I've ever seen.
Pretty sure he said you were bullying him.
Yeah, he did.
He did.
His parents showed up at the end of the night, and they were just watching, and I was definitely bullying this little kid. He's like, I'll attack. I was like, you can't. And he's just like, well, I'll destroy this. I was like, how? It can't be done. And then he's just like, oh, yeah, he's trying to, well, I'll get rid of the thing stopping me from attack. I was like, razor wire, it won't happen. It gives anything protection from the color of my choice or artifacts. So he's just trying to, every time, he put a bunch of enchantments on things he was all suited up in his the Tangraph deck, the combat-based one, and he's like, I'll give it to him so he can't do it. I was like, it won't happen.
Yeah. But keep in mind, like...
Spring cleaning, destroy all enchantments. Sherman's just over there bursting out laughing.
Yeah. But, like, the kid said, like, this is bullying and everything, but, like, he was doing all this with a huge smile.
Yeah, his parents were laughing so hard.
Yeah. So
I was definitely bullying that kid for sure.
He was having fun.
He was having fun because, he's interacting with us. He wanted to see powerful decks as well.
Well, and I think too, it's nice for like a kid to be able to play and feel like he's not just like being. Well, that's everyone's taking it easy on him because he's a kid.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about an LGS. But anyone's welcome there. You know, like you can. There's no age to play this game. Like you can be 50, you can be 15, you can have a ton of fun playing. It's all about you wouldn't interact with people like this. Like the majority of people I play with would never be people that would come over to my house to play. Yeah. But we sit down, we have great games. It doesn't have to be people you're super friendly with.
Like, if not for Magic the Gathering, there's no way in my life that I ever would have interacted with Sherman or Brian.
Yeah, I would have met them.
No way.
Maybe I would have yelled at Brian on the road.
How? Social distancing, people!
Like, maybe Sherman, because of, maybe I would have found... no, but maybe I might have found you through your job. Just because, I'm interested in kind of what you do. But outside of that, there's absolutely no way I would have ever come anywhere near you people.
Yeah, very, very true. I can totally do that.
So we're going to get to the last one. I'm a degenerate, as everyone knows.
What? Man!
So I actually changed, this deck is something I made with a different commander initially, and then I changed it out because I feel that Chulane is a strict upgrade. I used to play this with Azuri Claw of Progress. But it's Persistent Petitioners. Basically, that's the whole point of the deck.
Fast.
I will not. So, Persistent Petitioners is a 1/3 human advisor that costs 1 colorless and a blue. It has pay 1, tap, target player puts the top card of their library into the graveyard. Tap 4 untapped advisors I control, target player puts the top 12 cards of their library into the graveyard. And a deck can have any number of Persistent Petitioners.
See, he can't even say it once.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
So... some of the things that are in it, I'm just going to go quickly. I'm sure everyone understands that there's more than 30 of these in the deck. Persistent Petitioners is now just referred to as these. This deck runs a lot of weird things that don't generally function in these colors or function in commanders. So one of them is Wild Parrots, an enchantment. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, if you cast it from your hand, you can search your library for a creature with the same total power and toughness, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle.
I love Wild Pear.
It is a great card.
Just for reference.
Wow, you have... I've never heard of that card, but that's
Wild
great
Pear's
for
my
fetching.
That makes sense.
It's very good in elf decks as well, like stuff like that where you're fetching.
Everything's what ones.
Yeah. Lifeline, whenever a creature's put into a graveyard and any creature is in play, return that creature from the graveyard to play at the end of the turn.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so if somebody board wipes my stuff, then they just come back.
I've never heard of that card. That's dope. What does it cost? Is it blue?
Lifeline, it's an artifact.
What?
It's a great card. It's generally run in the aristocrat themed.
What does it cost?
Money wise?
No.
Five colorless.
Okay. Yeah,
it's a very cool card.
Yeah. So they would board wipe, you would tap, they would mill.
Yeah.
They would come back.
Yes.
If you have a single creature.
And you can tap the Persistent Petitioners. Oh, nailed it. You can tap them the first turn they come out because they're not a tap ability. Their ability is to tap themselves. I run Quest for Renewal, obviously, because you want to untap things. I have a Seedborn, of course. Same thing. Kefnit's Monument.
You found them?
We had them.
Yeah, this was before me.
Yeah.
Kefnit's Monument, because awesome. Blue creatures are 1 less. Whenever I cast a creature spell, target creature an opponent controls skips and untap. That's pretty good.
Do you run all of them? All the monuments?
No, just this one, because there's almost only blue creatures.
Okay.
So I run Leyline of Vitality so that I gain some life when creatures enter as well. It makes them a little bigger for blockers. Again, they're already pretty good blockers. 1/3 at 2 mana is pretty solid. A card that I don't think functions in any way in EDH very well is Wood Sage. It is a druid for 1 blue, 1 green, a 1/1. Tap, name a creature card, reveal the top 4 cards of your library to all players. If any of those creatures are the named card, put them into your hand, put the rest into the graveyard.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So I can constantly draw the Petitioners with it. I have the draw engine from Chulane, which is wicked. Angel of Glory's Rise for if I do get board wiped. When it enters the battlefield, exile all zombies, then return all human creatures from the graveyard to the battlefield.
Oh, great.
So, good recursion.
What a weirdly specific...
Yeah, I'll never play
zombie.
Clearly, never play my zombie deck against.
But you're like human
At the same time, I think zombie is
it's the most common token. So
yeah, most common token and most common tribal.
Yeah,
Field of the Dead Me Now.
So many lords.
I run Doubling Chant, which is green sorcery, 5 colorless, 1 green. For each creature I control, I can search my library for a creature card with the same name as that creature and put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle.
so if you have like 6, you get 6.
I have Rally the Ancestors.
Mill a bunch.
Rally the Ancestors, X and 2 instant. Return each creature card with CMC X or less from the graveyard to the battlefield. Exile them at the beginning of the next end step. So I can, for 4 mana, go berserk on it if people have milled me or anything like that. I can bring back potentially 40 Petitioners and power mill the table at instant speed. It's a great card.
What's the fastest win that you've actually milled someone out with?
Well, I have Illusionist Bracers in here as well. So if you put Illusionist Bracers on, every time you tap 4, you mill them for 24.
Yeah, because it's active. It doubles your activated ability, basically.
Yeah. Also, their ability will automatically activate the quest for renewal. So every turn around, you can do that. So even if you're playing a 4-player game, you mill 12 on your turn, 24, 36, 48 cards from one player who's problematic. Brian plays mill, spreads it out. Not me. Targeted hatred.
Well, because then only one person's mad at you.
You mill one person at a time. I have Beast Whisperer whenever I cast a creature spell. Also draw a card. Just going through, there's just so many persistent petitioners.
And keep in mind, everyone, like he can search for things, bring them back and everything, and he's not in black.
Yeah, exactly. It is a good tutorable. Another card that doesn't super function well in non-CEDH decks, Faces of the Past. It's a blue enchantment, 2 and a blue. Whenever a creature is put into a graveyard from play, tap or untap all creatures that share a type with it.
So if you accidentally mill one of your creatures, you can then tap them all.
Well, if I have a way to sack it or somebody tries to kill one.
Yeah.
I run Clone Legion because Chulane ramps so hard, and then I can just make all my persistent petitioners again. Is a great card. A dramatic reversal without Isochron Scepter, just dramatic reversal to untap all my permanents. I like to really mill people with it. I also run Turnabout, which gives me the ability to tap other people's creatures, untap, etc.
I would have never have thought to build a deck with a single creature.
Yeah, it's pretty strange. Dual Nature is one of my favorite ETB cards. I don't know anyone else who plays it, and everyone should play it if you're playing ETBs and green. It's 4 colorless green for an enchantment. Whenever any creature comes into play, so it does work for your opponents too, its controller puts a token that's a copy of it into play. Whenever a creature leaves play, remove all tokens with the same name as that creature from the game, and when Dual Nature leaves, remove all creatures remove all creature tokens with it from the game. Creature tokens created with it.
We gotcha.
Yes. But yeah, so things that double up the persistent petitioners is a very, very big theme in this.
Yeah.
Then also things like Remembrance, another white enchantment, 3 colorless and a white. Whenever a non-token creature I control is put into a graveyard, I may search my library for a copy of that creature card. If I do, reveal it, put it into my hand, and shuffle.
Yeah, fantastic card. It's so fantastic.
I run Dusk and Dawn in this, which is the split card, destroy all creatures with power 3 or less, which doesn't hit a single card in this deck.
But the Dawn part.
And the Aftermath, return all creatures with power 2 or less from my graveyard to my hand. So I can just power pump them out. Once upon a time.
Destroy everything and then bring back all your stuff.
Once upon a time, I just really, really like it. It's if you get it out early, everyone knows what it does. Progenitor Mimic, obviously. Cuckoo Shrine. I was telling Sherman about this earlier. Yes. It is another enchantment. So a lot of weird enchantments. It's 1 colorless green. Whenever a player plays a spell, that player puts X11 green squirrel tokens into play, where X is the number of cards in all graveyards with the same name as that spell.
Fun!
I like squirrels.
Yeah, so if somebody hits it...
It's happening.
I'm going through my deck. I have a Cavern of Souls in here. I don't know why. That tilts me a little bit. And then, yeah, just the general... It's just general ETB. And then I also run...
So you have removal, but not enough removal.
That's
it's a different kind of removal in a sense, you know?
Yeah, I have deck removal.
Yeah. That's sometimes better.
I really like to run things in a really straightforward path for a lot of my decks. This deck isn't meant to answer everything. If somebody has hexproof, well, then I'm going to attack them with like 51 I guess.
Yeah.
and really hope that works. Because I don't
try
have...
for that commander damage.
Yeah.
yeah.
Who's swinging with Chulane?
I swing with Psy, and like 1 damage, and everyone's just like, okay, I take 1. What
Really
do you
chip
do?
away. I also like to run things in that deck that are similar to the Alhamerit's Archive. Any cards that whenever I draw an extra card instead.
Yeah.
I had a Consecrated Sphinx in here, but I just took it out because I was overdrawing myself by a lot. Because all these are 2-mana creatures, right? So like even early it says Chulane off, but like when I have like 10 mana later on and I'm dropping 5 of them a turn and drawing every time, I had a Thrumming Stone. I took the Thrumming Stone out because it's just too much to ripple through the deck and put them all in. And I don't know, I might put it back in. But Thrumming Stone is great for any deck that runs the similar, like your Relentless, your Relentless Rats, anything like that. But my Chulane deck is, like I said, it's a very, very straightforward thing. I'll be streaming a game tonight, so the podcast will be live. It'll be up, not live. The live versions don't come out for everyone early.
This is in the future.
But yes, the game I play tonight, they will be unsuspecting of these Chulane Persistent Petitioners because I had totally forgotten about this deck, and I'm really, really excited to power mill this group and see how they respond to it.
They're like, we never want to talk to you ever again.
I'll be enjoying watching.
Yeah,
I do also run a few target draw spells, or everyone draws, because people do have graveyard resets like the Titans and everything. So if I know they have it, I will go to full mill them and then Temple Bell them, so that they on the reset have to draw and lose the game.
That's actually quite smart.
Yeah, you got to have targeted draw if you're running a mill strategy.
Yeah. But
But yeah, there you have it. That's our 4 Chulanes. We'll have the deck
They're
lists.
all very different.
Yeah, we'll have the deck lists up later. I think it'd actually be very fun at some point to get a stream
play
going.
all of us?
Yeah, to
Chulane.
4-way Chulane. I will exile Chulane, but what?
Which one?
Yeah. Who's Chulane?
Roll the dice. We let fate decide.
So Chulane won.
Yeah.
Which one?
Congratulations.
But yeah, just to really summarize, I do think that Chulane is a great introduction to a 3-colored commander. His ramp ability makes it so you don't need to spend just a ton on a mana base to get it going. You don't need to... I don't think I have any duels or shocks or anything in this deck. It's all pretty straightforward with stuff like just normal lands, because once I hit 2 or 3 lands,
You're good to go.
Yeah.
That's why I took out like the Seaside Citadel.
Yep.
I took out anything that enters the battlefield tapped.
Yeah, well, that's...
I don't want that.
My deck runs mostly non-basics, and it might have some basics, not non-basics. It might have some in it, but I have like a lot of things that are... Like I said, I have the talismans, I have a lot of my color-fixing artifacts, I've got an Arcane Signet, like... Obviously, it comes in the Chulane deck, so why wouldn't you put it in?
Yeah.
But yeah, like I've got like a lot of my color fix, and I just sit there and draw cards. Like, this is probably one of my most budget-friendly decks.
Which is amazing for you, I have to say.
Yeah.
I don't know how budget-friendly, but...
Actually,
How much is a petitioner?
I don't know. It can't be that
like
much.
5 cents?
Oh, no, they're a little more than that.
Well, they're common, aren't they?
I think they're uncommon.
But regardless, I think it's the fact that like how you play them would affect the cost.
Actually, come to think about it, how much is your deck overall, Brian? Because mine's like in the 700 range. Wow.
Yeah, yours is
really?
Sherman's is probably the most.
Yeah, mine's 721 according to Architect. But
Mine might be a little bit more because no, but in Architect, like, it doesn't realize that my Consecrated Sphinx is a masterpiece.
Oh, that's
true. Along
true.
those lines. So
yeah,
it's
but
not
same with my things like my Jace. I don't have this one. I have the whatever
special one.
The special one, right?
The Petitioners are only 75 cents.
Yeah, so
That's not bad.
So he's
bad.
pretty budget, I'd say.
Yours is pretty budget.
If you take out the Lifeline, because I think that's one of the pricier cards, I think it's like only like 10 or 12 bucks. But most of the things in the deck are pretty cheap. Like, I might have a tropical island in it, but I doubt it, like I said.
And like you mentioned, that like most of the cards that you play aren't seen in EDH, so
they're going to be lower in price.
Yeah, it's weird things. Yeah, there's not really a huge demand for doubling chant. You know?
Or Wild Pair even. Wild Pair is not that expensive.
Yeah, Wild Pair is a cool card, but you have to have things that match it. Otherwise, you have dead drops and a 6-mana enchantment that's doing nothing.
Yeah. Well, that's why it works in my dragons, because so many dragons are 4/4s, 5/5s, and 6/6s.
Yeah, exactly. It fetches different things. But yeah, it's just I don't know. I wanted this deck to. The reason it worked so well with Azuri is because all of them triggered as counters. So even if I couldn't mill things, I could still swing for 40 Petitioners. But that alternate win con aside, Chulane is just a strict upgrade with his ability to draw me cards every time I cast. And there's 3 cards that give people hexproof from being milled. So, unless you're Brian and you play Leyline of Singularity and then the one other hexproof thing and Shylai in your deck.
Do you anticipate? No. Leyline of Sanctity.
Sanctity, not Singularity, yes.
Yeah, I'm what are you talking about?
Oh, Leyline of Singularity just makes me sad.
What's that?
I run that in my Fibblethip deck, and it's all non-land permanents or legendary. So it wrecks every token deck. It would ruin this deck. I would have no response because again, this deck 100% gas. I have 2 removal spells in it.
There's no break.
And that's an optimistic guess.
We can't go any.
Oh boy!
I have recursion for my things. You got an enchantment. I'm going to politics with someone else. I'm hoping someone else built that in. Oof. Yeah.
I sure did.
But
Yeah.
let us know which your playstyle is. What kind of Chulane theme did you go for if you've run him? What's your thoughts on any other Bant commanders?
Yeah, what's your vibe?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, looking at our list, what would you slide out? What would you slide in?
Yeah, reasons why as well, So, but leave a comment, let us know.
Yeah, hit us up on our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We also live stream every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time as well. Feel free to check out our website. It's intothe99.com. We post all of our podcasts there, as you may or may not know. That might be where you're listening to this. As well as we have blog posts and interactive contact forms. So if you're interested in getting in touch with us or maybe joining in on our streams, feel free to give us a
contact Brian. Brian does all the scheduling for the streams. We love to play with the fans. That's been the one good thing about the social distancing that's been going on, is that it's been really, really interesting to be able to reach out and play with some of the listeners, play with some of the other people in the Magic community who we never could have interacted with before.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Even when this is all said and done, I still want to continue doing it because I would never have played with Florian in Germany.
Yep.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And seeing the different metas from here to there.
Nothing about this is going to make us worse Magic players. This is really, really bringing us a lot of.
You see things that are very out of your meta, and it's very, very fun.
It's really exciting.
Was he the one that said that none of them played Temple Bell? Or
No, that was Teferi's First Barber. Yeah, they hadn't seen anyone play it in their group. That was a totally new card to him. And I run that in so many decks. I love Temple Bell.
Yeah. So
hit us up and we will see you guys next Sunday.
Yeah.
Catch you later.
See ya.